back to Goalie Training Pro TV. On this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the difference between flexibility and mobility. They are very different, and you actually need both, but I'm going to share with you exactly when and how to maximize them. To quote Julie Andrews from The Sound of Music, yes, I'm quoting Julie Andrews from The Sound of Music, let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start.
Let's start at the very beginning.
What's the difference between flexibility and mobility? And it's really simple, and once you understand this difference, you will pretty much get the whole concept. So flexibility is the passive range of motion of a joint. So how far can I passively move my joint through motion? So here I'm using my hands to move. I can bring my heel to touch my bum. So that is the passive range of motion about my knee, which is impacted by my quadriceps. What is mobility? Mobility is essentially our active range of motion, or it's the range of motion that we can consciously control using our own muscles. So this is my speed wobble. This is my flexibility. Now watch what happens when I let go of my ankle. My foot pops down because this is my mobility. This is the range of motion I actually own, that I have control over. The rest of this upper part, that's just flexibility. I can't use that. So if I'm, stretching my groins or things like that, well, I can passively go this far, but how far can I actively go? And what range of motion do I actually control? As a goalie, if you want to be able to make saves, quickly make saves in those awkward positions, quickly recover and be ready for the next shot or the next opportunity, you need mobility. You can't just be a Gumby out there that can do this but doesn't have the strength to pull yourself back compact and be ready to go.
And a chance now for Getzlaff moving in. Oh, what a save, Hasek!
The other issue when you prioritize flexibility over mobility is maybe you can get your body into those lengthened positions, but without control, which leaves you vulnerable to injury. You're taking those muscles into a position where they're not very strong. They don't have a lot of cross-bridge overlap. And so it's vulnerable to injury. And then without the strength and the smarts to control that range of motion, you can see how it does put you at risk for groin strains, any kind of muscle strain.
It looks like he's grabbing his groin there, Rick.
And now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, aha, so stretching is bad. I read an article that said stretching was bad. I read an article that said there was a study that research said that stretching actually makes you weaker and takes away your power. I knew it. Stretching's bad. No stretching. And it's not bad. So in my mobility programs or my mobility modules that I design for the goalies I work with in the game-winning goalie formula or in Turning Pro, they get stretches in there as well, static stretches. And I'll show you the difference between the two in a second. And there was a study that showed static stretching decreased vertical jump, so decreased power output. But then, that's a snapshot. And it's like, okay, we're going to stretch you and then we're going to have you jump. Oh, it went down. Okay, so it decreased your power. But then there are always follow-up studies. That's interesting. Well, what would happen? How long does that decrement last? What would happen if we went in after the stretch and did some sort of a dynamic stretching? Would that negate it? It does, actually. So static stretching isn't bad. It's just not exactly where you want to go. It's not going to take you to the promised land. So if your entire goalie mobility routine consists of you stretching in front of reruns of Law and Order, you're going to be disappointed with the impact it has on your performance. Let's break down the difference between stretching, static stretching, and mobility training. What's the difference between a static stretch and mobility training? This is basically a static stretch. I've lengthened my muscles, I feel a stretch, I'm gonna hang out here, I'm not putting any energy into it, I'm just chilling and letting that muscle stretch like an elastic band. I don't mind this type of stretching. I'll use it actually a fair amount early in the off season. I don't use it a ton in season, but sometimes we do. especially when I'm doing a post-skate restorative module. And I think maybe I'll make a video about that for next week. Drop a if you want a video about that for next week. I'll give you a whole post-skate restorative module. But, I don't mind it for sort of expanding that envelope of movement. But then you need to build strength. And we talk about strength at length all the time. Sometimes we need strength in shortened positions too. But we need to build that strength because our brain governs a lot of our range of motion. If we just stretch a muscle, our brain knows, I'm not generating any tension. It knows, hey, Maria doesn't spend a lot of time out here. She's not strong out here. So why would I let her use this in a dynamic scenario? When I do mobility training, so a very simple mobility exercise might just be coming out into this position, pushing my foot down into the ground, so making an isometric contraction, building that tension. So now my brain is learning, oh, actually Maria can produce quite a bit of force out there. I'm actually making those muscles stronger in that lengthened position, which isn't really a strong position to start with. So now I can use that. Now, if I do have to make a reaching save on the ice, I have the strength to pull myself back up and get ready for the next save. So that's one simple technique. Pails and rails, cars, lift-offs, those are all other types of mobility training. Even PRI and Aldoa, that's mobility training. There are lots of different techniques. So don't get hooked on the specific technique. They're just tools in the toolbox. But the point is we need to make it so that you have that strength and you have that control through the full range of motion. So in a nutshell, that is the difference between flexibility and mobility. I think both have a place, but mobility is the holy grail. That's where we want to get you to. And there are different techniques we can use. I mentioned FRC, I mentioned PRI, I mentioned Aldoa. Again, if you want me to make a video on what are those, Hello? Who? Aldoa what? Drop a comment below. Let me know. Let me know if there's one of them you want me to cover first, and I can make a nice little video snapshot for Functional Range Conditioning, Postural Restoration Institute work, or Aldoa. Let me know. Your wish is my command. If you want some other goalie, hip stretches, and mobility routines, click here, check out this one. Otherwise, I will catch you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Don't forget to drop a comment if you want me to create a sample restorative module for when you come off the ice, and I can post that up for you for next week. So just, again, you're the boss. Let me know. Thank you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I love you guys. Cheers.